So this is an exciting episode. It's my first episode with having actual, real, in-person guests. My podcast is usually me talking to myself for 10 minutes. We're going to go a little Joe Rogan this time, meaning it's going to be longer. We're going to slow it down. We're not going to go 4 hours. In a wine glass instead of a shot glass. Ooh. And also, thank you. And also, this podcast is my first fitness edition. So we have many guests today. I brought Andy Thompson because he was a huge part of the beginning for me. And so Andy and I represent kind of the old school. And then I also invited Noah and Andre, who we're going to meet real soon. And they kind of represent, I feel like they represent the new generation of CrossFit / fitness and all of that. So I want this episode to just throw a wide net where we can kind of talk about the old, the new. It's not an old versus the new. It's more of just, what's different, what's changed, all of that. And also I want to get personally into your guys' stories as well. So let's start with Andy. And then I actually would love for you guys to do your own intros, just broad strokes, how you got into fitness, just the broad strokes of your story. So Andy, let's start with you.
All right. Well, let's see. Nice to meet you guys, by the way.
Yeah,
it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Well, I grew up in sports and fitness my entire life. I grew up put in gymnastics, and then I did track and field. I did all the football, the soccer, and the t-ball, like every kid does. And
you played football?
Oh yeah.
What position?
I was on the B team, man. I was small.
I
was tight end,
yeah.
And I was tight end, and whenever I got to play, most of the time I was bench warmer.
That's what I thought. Me too. The kid with the whitest uniform. 4 seconds into the game, get John Kim out there as I'm running out the buzzer. But anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
that's why I'm so aggressive now, making up for those days.
It's like I would have been happy weighing 120 pounds at that.
Yeah. So you didn't play football. You were on the team.
Right. I was on the team.
Yeah.
I was on the team. Being in Texas, that's kind of what you do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's what you do.
There's nothing else to do.
Right. So later on in life, I got into skating and did all the skating and inline, all that stuff. Dabbled in some motocross. Right. Exactly. And all that stuff. Got serious into fitness when I was 18, and I did it because 2 reasons. First girlfriend broke up with me, and I was
too
like,
skinny?
No.
Oh.
It was a confidence thing in myself. I was like, wow, I got dumped, and I'm feeling down on myself. I don't have any skills, man. I need skills. Girls like guys with skills, man. And then this was like the college times where you go to house parties and stuff like that, and my buddies got into a fight, and they got wailed on by dude was just jacked. I mean, for who I was at that time, that guy was jacked.
Right.
I was like, man, that guy. There's no way I would have jumped in. I would got my ass beat. And so that confidence thing, I was like, I got to get some mass on myself. So I, put on a good 30 pounds, and I was like, I'm gonna start martial arts. So I started martial arts at the same time, and so I started doing all this stuff, and then immediately I kind of have an extremist personality. I'm gonna go. I got certified through my first certification, Cooper Institute in Texas. I'm gonna start training people, and I had no clue what I was doing. I just know that this worked for me, and it's gonna work for everybody.
Has anyone heard of the Cooper Institute in Texas? It sounds like the DeVry of fitness.
It's actually pretty.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah,
sorry.
I was actually.
My bad.
I actually know what that is. I've heard of that.
It's a very respectable.
Well, I have a level 1, so.
It's a Texas thing though. It is an institute, but yeah, it kind of sounds like a DeVry thing for sure. Yeah. Like if you didn't know any better.
So you come to LA.
Yeah,
and then you start this thing in the park.
No, I came to LA as a trainer at Gold's.
Right.
And then I stumbled across it because some dude at the gym was like, "Are you that dude from CrossFit?" And I was like, "What the?" I was like, "What is that?"
What year was this?
I couldn't even tell you. This was 2005. So anyway, I didn't know what it was, and so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go and research who this person thinks I am.
Yeah. So
I went to this CrossFit website, and I guess they thought I was Chris Spieler because we both had shaved heads. We were both kind of skinny and scrawny. And so anyway, I saw that it was a fitness site, and I didn't understand what was going on. There was just so much stuff. But I saw that they had exercises and demos, and at that time, in that era of fitness, it was all about who had something fancy and what you could bring, and that was interesting and different. Because everybody wanted, it was just always like this competition at the Globo gym of what kind of fancy shit can you do. And so I went to the exercise and demos, and then I would go and make my clients do the movements. And I was like, this is great. It's like new stuff that people haven't done, and then I noticed that there was a workout of the day. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go give this thing a shot, and it said, for time, I remember it was like 7 rounds of 10 ring dips and 10 sumo deadlift high pull. I was like, okay. So I looked up the movements, and I go to the gym, and I load up the weight, start a stopwatch, I do it, and then it says post time to comments. So I go down to the thing, and I go to post my time, and I took like 14 minutes or something, right? I go in there, and everyone's posted like 5 minutes, 6 minutes. I was like, it's a race. I was like, oh, I get it. Okay, I got to do this again. I got to read it. I'm not going to post my time. That's embarrassing. I wasn't trying. I was just doing it. And so after that, and then I noticed that there were lots of them. And I was like, oh, it's a rep. Okay. So I would do my CrossFit workout, and then I would finish doing arms. Or I would do my CrossFit workout, and then I'd do my legs or whatever, because it was like short workouts, and I wasn't going in. I didn't know what I was doing. It was all like, nothing was ever programmed over the weight of 135 pounds anyway.
Yeah.
So it was like everything was very light, and I was, whatever. Anyway, I would do it every day. And finally, I got to the point where I did something. I was like, okay, this is way too intense. I can't do my legs after doing this. I'm just going to do whatever this website says, and I'm not going to do anything else. And then I just turned over, and I made all my clients do it, and they saw more results in 3 months of doing that than they had prior to the 2 years of training with me prior to. And I was like, okay, everybody needs to be doing this. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to go and start doing this regularly. And at the time, I was living with this ex-SEAL, and he was doing CrossFit too. Whoa. And so we were kind of both doing it, and he was like, dude, let's start a CrossFit gym. And he's like, there's not one in LA. Let's just do it. And I was like, oh my God. I was like,
this was
scary.
2001.
This is 2006, whenever we came up with the idea. And then
so one of the reasons why you're here,
dirty garage gym CrossFit.
And that's one of the reasons why you're here. I think I don't think you were the first, but I think you were the second.
No,
third?
so whenever I got certified, I got certified in 2007 because you couldn't affiliate unless you were certified.
Right.
So I got certified with like Bill Grundler and, and like
back in the day,
all like Rory and all these guys were getting certified at the same seminar, and like CJ was one of the instructors, and all these people that were like just kind of OGs were all like there. Anyway,
sorry to derail here. What was the level 1 like at that time?
You had to do Fran. It was pretty similar to what they're doing now. They're not changing.
It was
really.
Still 2 days. You hung out at a weekend.
Still 2 days.
How many people were there?
Yeah, I know. There wasn't a lot. There wasn't as many as they at their pinnacle. But there was still a handful, and it was funny because like the people that were there getting certified had known about CrossFit for a while, and they were Crossfitters. So they weren't just like fresh out of the band. Yeah. They like had knowledge of what. Yeah. I remember doing Fran, and it's the first time I'd ever really done Fran with bumper plates and in a scenario where everybody's racing, and it's like I was always by myself, and I almost puked. And like this chick comes up to me after me who beat me by 2 minutes, and she tries to hand me a beer. I'm like about to throw up. I'm like, you guys are nuts. Anyway,
so you opened up CrossFit Hollywood 2000.
I officially opened up in 2008. Is whenever I opened my doors. That wasn't in the park though.
Yeah, that wasn't in the park. You started kind of in the park. I'm fast forwarding just a little bit.
Go ahead. Sorry,
here's what I want to point out before I get to Andre and Noah. What's interesting about your story is CrossFit Hollywood is it's the size of a bedroom. It's tiny, and but so many people have gone through that place, right? Yeah. Now, how many gyms have because of CrossFit Hollywood given birth. So because like the CrossFit Hollywood to me was like the nucleus or the catalyst for an explosion of gyms in LA. So like Rec Center, Brick, Mindset. Don't laugh. Hey, there would be no Pharaohs if there was no Mindset.
That's true.
Okay.
That's true.
And we'll talk about Mindset a little bit later.
I mean,
But can I just say, I'm saying don't laugh because Andy's making fun of me. We're not making fun of Mindset. All right. So if anyone's listening,
no.
Mindset's a great gym. Oh, Depot.
I mean, there was we counted I think somewhere around 15 gyms directly from and then
all
what
members.
sprouted off of them.
Yeah.
And so it kind of like if you wanted to go like that, and then
It was like putting
there's a
water
lot.
on like gremlins and shit.
yeah, so it kind of just sprouted out.
Also Reebok.
Reebok Lab,
I mean, just
yeah.
on and on and on.
Yeah. They all started off.
Yeah, and so I kind of see you as kind of
Yeah, it was a
the
lot of fun.
grandfather of CrossFit because we were flipping tires and we were doing it when 135 was the. If you did a 225 deadlift, people were like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah,
Whoa.
I remember
it was like heavy.
I remember the first time there was a guy who actually deadlifted 500 pounds in the gym, and it was just like it was a guy named Bruce Ellaby. And,
Yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
You
I know.
remember Bruce?
Yeah, I know Bruce. Yeah.
Guys deadlifted 500 pounds. Everyone was just like, "This guy's a freak, man."
So that is Andy Thompson, and I'll tell you my collision with him in a bit.
Sorry. When I started, there was CrossFit Santa Monica with Andy Petranik, and there was Mike Latch's gym over in which is Valley CrossFit, which was in San Bernardino.
Right.
Those were the only two gyms. Otherwise.
Yeah. So I mean, you were one of the first three. So Noah, tell us a little bit about your story. You were just in grade school when we were flipping tires.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I guess first of all, thanks for having us.
Yeah, of course.
So Andre and I are at Pharaohs. I'm the head coach over there. I did not grow up playing football. I grew up in a family that was very indoorsy.
Monopoly.
Yeah, absolutely. I just came from a big line of brainiacs who all were really into reading and talking about reading. So I really got into fitness pretty late. I did your regular everyday stuff, but I think I got into fitness out of a profound curiosity about bodies and how they move. Mm-hmm. I went to school for molecular biology, and I raced some bicycles while I was in college. After that, I got into ultra marathons because I just was interested in the idea of like how long can I go, and I really liked the mental side of it. And it was always very much kind of an academic interest. Like, how is it that we train? How is it that you like get people to be really strong or really fast? And
Like the science.
absolutely, yeah. I was just like always interested in biology and interested in exercise physiology as an extension. I feel like a lot of my coaching comes from that place, but my own physical fitness and my own relationship with my own body, I think, comes from just some confusion about my own mental health and a feeling, however academic or otherwise, that the more I moved, the better of a person I was to those around me. I definitely got into racing ultras, and I think a lot of people probably do, just from having poor tools to deal with depression.
Sure.
And running just made me tired enough that I was cooler to people and myself. And I moved from the Pacific Northwest, where I went to college, back to Argentina, where I grew up, and there weren't a lot of good mountains or trails to run there, and running on the street meant almost invariably like getting hit by a motorcycle. And one day I was walking by a CrossFit gym, like carrying my groceries home, and those guys looked like they were having a lot of fun. And I was aware of the games, and I knew who Rich Froning was, so I just started doing that. And then 9 months later, I got my level 1, and that's where it sort of really exploded for me. I remember the sensation of seeing the level 1 staff coach the people that were in the class, and thinking to myself that I had previously in a different life the privilege of getting to see some of the smartest people I had ever met speak in front of a crowd, and that these guys were maybe twice as good as they were. Like, it seemed like such a cool culmination of art and science. They were funny, they were smart, and they were also just like incredible athletes. Like, I'd never seen anybody move like that. I remember specifically, there was one of the staff members who was in the sort of the Latin American circuit, and he was demoing the ring muscle up. He was doing a strict ring muscle up, and he was doing it as an L-sit strict ring muscle up. So his legs are out in front of him, his toes are above his hips, and he's gonna pull himself over the ring, up to the rings, and then over them. but he's doing it in such a way that it takes him about 20 seconds to get from the bottom to the top.
Jeez.
And it's like slow motion, and he's talking. And he also spoke Portuguese, so he was translating for himself. So he was talking in Spanish and in Portuguese while doing a 20-second long, strict L-sit ring muscle up. And I thought, well, that's more impressive than any of the like PhDs that I've ever seen talk. Not because of the complexity of the material, but like the virtuosity with which it was disseminated. I moved back to the States and sort of fiddled around with what I wanted to do, and found myself really excited about coaching and how it is that we coach coaches. It seemed like a great way to get to hang out with my friends and care for other people and work hard all at the same time. And consider myself really lucky to get to do it.
Yeah.
Nice, man.
Thank you.
Cool story.
Yeah. Andre, how did fitness enter your life?
I think for me, fitness was just kind of a way to deal with all the rage and anger I had as a little kid. I played baseball all the way up and through college. That was like my main thing. It was just something that was acceptable in Indiana where I grew up. I had no idea what CrossFit was until I got to California. I had no idea what it was called, who the big people were, what these movements were. I had no idea who Rich Froning was. I didn't know anything about it until I got to Pharaohs. And but going back, just growing up, like it was football, basketball, or something else. Baseball wasn't really even like an option, but it's Indiana, so it's mainly basketball. I couldn't dunk, so I was like, I'm gonna do something else. So as a kid, I got bullied a lot and just made fun of so much, and I wasn't taught how to express that or feel your feelings or emotions.
Wait, were you small as a kid or were you big?
Oh, super small. I think I got to high school barely 85, 90 pounds, soaking wet. Yeah,
Okay.
graduated college, or dropped out, I should say, to move to California at about, I think I was 140 or 150, just small my whole life.
Yeah,
so I was
me.
like, all right. And then baseball, I was like, oh, you don't have to hit home runs. Like you can just bunt and just run real fast and piss people off and you're still cool. So that was acceptable, so I did that, and I didn't really think much of it. I was like, you see the ball, you hit the ball, you run. To me, it was that logical, that simple. I wasn't trying to beat anybody. I was just really just trying to find something else to do with myself other than just sit around all angry and depressed. So I got to high school, and my brother was a senior when I was a freshman. And he was mainly the one who used to pick on me and like mess with me, so he started wrestling. And I didn't know what that was. But then when I heard that you can basically beat the shit out of somebody for 6 minutes and not get in trouble, I was like, I'm in. And so I wrestled 103 at maybe 85, 90 pounds, and I got third in the state that year, first time ever wrestling. Sophomore year, I got runner-up. Junior year, I got fourth. And senior year, I just didn't want to do it anymore. But I played baseball all up and through that, and I got a baseball scholarship to Purdue, and I went to Purdue, and it was cool, it was fun. I was just trying to figure out how I could get to California, and I was like, all right, maybe baseball, maybe I could turn pro, and I could get on a AAA or AA team, or just somewhere out of Indiana. I just wanted to leave, and never really lifted weights. Weightlifting for me and fitness was a parachute and a baseball tee. That was it. I had no idea what a barbell was. I saw people doing it, but I didn't care. I didn't care about pull-ups or dips. I could not care whatsoever.
Right.
And I got to California, and I just started going to gyms, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. Just do some bench press, or that's what all the cool guys do, maybe some squats. Even though I had no idea what I was doing, and it hurt my back the first time. So I was like, I'll just do bench press and maybe some pull-ups. That seems socially acceptable. And I just kind of just did that and ran on the treadmill for a while. Would do sprints because that's what I was used to. And in 2018, a buddy of mine was like, hey, do you want to come to this my gym with me? They're doing a workout to, I think it was like to raise money for cancer research or just something where it was like for the community. I was like, oh, I'm all about that. So we went, and that was my intro to Pharaohs Athletic Club. And I was like, what is this place? Like, everybody knows everybody. I see a couple dogs. Like, this is nuts. Like, what are these people doing? And I had never seen a rig before.
Right.
I was like, what is this? Do you guys do like trapeze or something? Like, this is amazing.
Right.
Then I saw like rope swims. Like, oh man, I did that in gym. Like, this looks fun. Just total little kid. Like, no idea what I was doing. And really just kind of jumped into the classes, the strength training classes. And then I saw somebody do a bar muscle up. And I was like, what is that? Like, oh, it's a bar muscle up. Like, it's kind of a CrossFit thing. I was like, what's CrossFit? I'm like, are you kidding? It's like, no, I'm dead serious. Like, what is that? Like, how will CrossFit show me how to do one of those? And they're like, yeah. So I started taking the class that they have that has CrossFit type movements, and I just learned the bar muscle up, and then I wanted to learn like a snatch, and then I wanted to learn what a clean and jerk was. It's pretty much just been a progression of that. Like, I could care less who lifts more than me. I could care less if I win a workout. I really just have fun working out with my friends and learning new movements.
Yeah.
And that's my intro to fitness.
I invited you guys because I work out with you guys, once or twice a week. So they do compete. It's kind of like the hardcore CrossFit. I can't make it every day, but when I do, either Noah's teaching it or participating, and Andre's always, usually first or second or something. And
so they say.
And what was interesting for me is when the pandemic hit, and Ferris was outside completely. We would work out together and just, hey, what's up, how are you? And we were just all kind of like around the same level, right? And then I saw you guys starting to put in like 2-3 hours at 6 a.m. Like when I would come, you guys would be like, oh, we've been here for, and then I would be like, oh my God, these guys are like, now they're doing what I did when I was with Andy and I was like 37. And so it was really fascinating for me to watch your guys' trajectory, your progression. And then it seemed like you guys were working out together, like super early, but like huge volume, following programming and all that. And then I got to see you guys both just skyrocket. And then I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. So it seems like you guys
should probably get other hobbies.
Yeah.
So you guys basically lost your life.
Yeah. We just dove in. Yeah.
What happened where you guys went from fitness is fun to now doing like the like what we call training, right? Like the 2 hours a day, and I don't know if that's still happening, but I know that one, was it a summer, that one period of like the pandemic, you guys were. Yeah. Well, for me, it's like nothing really has changed. It's just now I'm just doing more, and I'm just getting more confident in the movements, and now it's a fun challenge to see how far I can push myself. Right.
But again, it's really just like I'm 37. I started this maybe a little over a year ago.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to go to the games. I'm not trying to, be anything other than Andre. That's it. Like I just have fun working out with my friends, and watching them push themselves as far as they can go, like, inspires me. It's like, all right, well, what's deep down in there that I haven't tapped into yet? Like, am I able to finally do this 50-foot handstand walk when I just learned how to like stand on my hands, or just it's really just I enjoy the challenge of just breaking through in my mind to one more limit. Like, what is one thing I can just like break free from? It's like, oh, I'm not bound by that anymore.
Do you think because there's addiction in your blood, correct? There's addiction in your blood.
Oh, for sure.
For me too. Do you think that there is an obsession? So 1 year. What's your back squat, like 4 or something?
405.
405.
We tested last week. It's
Deadlift
crazy.
is like what?
I
like
don't
something
know,
really
but
high.
it might be past 405 or something.
So like in 1 year, that strong, that fast, which means you had to have put in thousands of hours.
Can I just let it here and hype Andre?
Yeah, of course.
So Andre likes to say that when he first showed up at Pharaoh's, he could barely back squat 225, which is like a respectable amount of weight.
Sure.
Incredible. Yeah.
Sure.
Healthy guy. And 2 weeks ago he back squatted 405 and it like didn't even look hard. So I have to say, while I deeply love Andre Hall, it's also infuriating to be friends with him because it's like it makes one reckon with your own lack of genetic potential. Well, he's just built different, and if you're like an average guy that you might bump into it at Trader Joe's, it's a phenomenal look at your own mediocrity to work out with this kid.
Sure. And I wonder if this also falls into the new generation, because when Andy and I were doing it, it wasn't that heavy, and then this new generation, it's like 225 is the beginning, and for us that was like the man weight for us.
Dude, we didn't have squat racks. So we had like plastic crates that we would stack.
We still have those.
And then have like, and I didn't have 45s bumpers. I had 10s. I had 10-pound bumpers. And we would I had enough for around 220 pounds. So once you got the 220,
That was all the weight in the whole box.
That's it. Like,
That's
we
it.
don't have
You've reached the
anything
pinnacle.
else.
Good for you, man.
Oh, that's cool.
But to answer your question, yeah, I definitely think like having a history of addiction in my life and in like my family, there is something internally that you just have to find something to lock into that you don't go back to like the darker places of using substances or alcohol or sex or food or whatever it is to kind of numb yourself to what you're not dealing with. And thank God, like I was forced to deal with my stuff, and fitness has just kind of been a very healthy way of supplementing that from going back into the dark and using things to not deal with my shit.
Yeah. If you didn't hear Andre's story on my podcast before, I just want to remind you of this one scene because it gave me chills, and Andy hasn't heard it. So at the lowest point of Andre's life, he almost took his life, and so he had a gun to his head, and he was in a car, a Honda Civic that was just a broke down Civic, and the radio was detached, like it didn't work. There's no wires or anything, and he was praying and he was contemplating, and he was about to kill himself, and the radio came on.
Yeah, it still like blows my mind. Like I was just done with the world. Like I was just over everything, over everyone, and I just didn't want to feel anymore because I felt so much. And like he said, I had a gun and I had this car. I duct taped trash bags to the ceiling and the floor, signed the title over to whoever, and just practice like, all right, when I do it, they can just pull out the trash bags and somebody can have this car. I didn't care. And like he said, the radio, I mean, this car was like maybe 3 million miles on it. Like the wires were going all over the place, never turned on. And all the time that I had it, and I had the gun like to my head, and I was just praying and crying and praying. It's like, all right, if you're here, you better show me something now, because I'm about to come meet you, or I'm about to go meet your red friend with a pitchfork and horns, but I'm out, I'm done. And right as I was about to pull the trigger, the radio turned on, and a song called I Need You Now by a gospel artist named Smokey Norfolk came on, and I just sat there and just sobbed, just boohoo cried, and the whole song played. And when the song was done, the radio turned off, and like I'm pushing buttons and it
Never
turned
played
on
again.
But I just thought it was
Wow,
so profound.
that's
It was just
crazy.
like, prove me now if you were here. And the song is called I Need You Now. It's like, okay, so all right, I guess that's it. And like, to me, like John said, it's like once you hit rock bottom, there was no place to go but up. And I think now that contributes a lot to like working out and like doing the workouts. Like I'm genuinely just grateful to be able to move and still be in this lifetime.
That's powerful, man.
Yeah.
That's
wild, man.
a
It's-
really cool story.
By the way, you met the
nuts.
pitchfork guy. He's sitting right next to you. He does your programming.
That's right.
But yeah, I mean, even in the year that we were just outside, like, yeah, it was me, Noah, Alex, this guy named Michael Mata, who's just an awesome human being, and I was working the desk, and I saw them. I was like, man, they're like, it's been like 2 hours, and they're still getting after it. And I was like, oh man, like I want to try that. So it just worked out that I got to jump in with them, and we were just hitting it 5 days a week.
So I'm going to
And,
be
yeah.
honest with you, and Andy, let me know where you're at with this, and you may be at a different place with your fitness, because I know you climb rocks, you do all these other things. I was going down, and I was watching you guys going up, and it made me so mad. I didn't have the time. I still don't have the time to put in the 2 hours or go to, and so watching you guys go up, and I was just doing train. I was, all my numbers were down, and I was just trying to maintain. And I just like,
cold, buddy?
I'm freezing.
He's like kind of got a quiver in his
So
voice.
it's fine, man. I know. I know it's emotional time right now.
I felt like the kid on the bench, and then I kind of got fired up.
Oh.
And then now I'm a little confused because I'm still not as where I used to be. I think at 37 was my peak, but hanging out with you guys has definitely pushed me, like go harder, do more, all of that. What about you? Do you as a 52-year-old man now, do you feel like the kid got left behind, or are you like, oh,
That's
was
a great question. Oh boy, in regards to fitness and seeing these other people like kind of have and seeing their potential and how
right. that fire,
Phenomenally.
and because we were there.
All right.
Yeah.
As a coach, I think that it's important to embrace. So it's like, if as you as a coach, if you see somebody with genetic potential, which is greater than your own, if you're not helping them reach it, then
You're not a
it's
good
like
coach.
you're not a good coach, right? And that means that they're going to get better than you at some point, you know, and having to relinquish that because for so long you were at this massive pinnacle where you were the number one. I think I had to let go of that a long time ago. I think that was especially with like JP.
Well, let's be honest. So in the early days, there was a lot of ego at CrossFit.
Totally.
I mean,
There
dude,
was
it
a
was very
huge
different than
ego.
Pharaoh's. We would do workouts in the morning, and if you didn't make like top 3, top 4, we would come back at night and do it again.
Oh yeah,
Which is just ego.
Wow.
It was
back in the
toxic masculinity.
Wow.
Isn't that awesome?
And think about it all day.
It was critical.
Yeah.
Like
Really?
you didn't hit the 10-foot line on that one rep. That guy
Yeah.
out.
He's done.
I remember
He
was
would
like,
call me on shit,
dude,
like
I
no
would,
range of motion.
like I literally
competitions.
cut a check and I was like, hey, dude, you did 20. At first before I cut him a check, I was like, hey, you only did 20 reps. You were supposed to do 35. He's like, no, I did 35. I'm like, all right, here's your money back. I'll see you next time. You're not welcome here.
It
I
was
was like,
that
it was
cutthroat?
that cutthroat, bro. Like I'm
Were
not
you?
telling.
I'm curious about that. Were you having a lot of fun doing it?
Oh, dude, it was about that. Like it was just about, hey, this is a place where you got to put in and you got to do it exactly how it's supposed to be done.
Right.
Otherwise, it's not for you. It's like there was blood on the walls. I mean,
Yeah.
people were sitting there. Like I remember one point, there was like a prospective member like that was like checking out the gym, and there was this guy doing Grace, and the Grace is 30 clean and jerks for time or whatever, and he does a clean and jerk and he hits himself in the nose and he starts bleeding, and nobody checks on him. They're just like, go, 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 go. This chick is just like, oh my god,
It's like Fight Club. It was like Fight Club.
like
That's exactly.
nobody helped her. She's like, no way, I am out. Like this is crazy. But yeah, it was just so cutthroat. But now I think that to go back to the question,
Yeah.
I have found that I will never be as fast as I was. I will never be as strong as I was. I will never get younger. And so it's a matter of like, hey, how do I feel today in my own skin and what I want to do? Like, am I able to embrace that? Or am I going to live in this past of who I was and constantly beat myself up over not hitting my best PR of whatever?
See, I struggle with that because as I head toward 50, a part of me is like, just like you, like your peak was 37. It's just maintain, go do different things and have fun. And then the other part of me is like, try to be as strong as you were at 37 and 50. Can you do that? Is that possible? Like for me, the and I think I told Andre at Mindset I did, and I'm a small guy, right? So I'm not like bragging about numbers, but for me this was heavy. I did 220 20 times unbroken back squat, and Pete was recording me.
That's impressive.
And I was 150 something, 155.
He was a force to be reckoned with.
And then a back squat would be 350.
he still is. Don't
And
let
I-
him fool you.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
he's
no.
solid.
We work out
And
together. Yeah,
all
yeah.
my range of motion is questionable, by the way.
He has a hard time counting,
Right.
but at the same time.
and I've also shaved wet reps, which we'll talk about. But now I think, okay, well, can I do that at 50? And so there's that like David Goggins. There's that part of me that's like, well, you're a therapist. You study psychology. Prove yourself wrong. Go. You have 2 years. Do this.
Yeah.
And then there's the other part of me that's like, dude, let it go, man. Go have fun. And so sometimes when I go to compete, it's just with myself.
Yeah.
I don't even have fun because there's this inner battle,
Right.
you know.
I was gonna ask you.
Or
about
when
that,
I do train, I have a blast.
Yeah.
Because I'm
It's
just
like
having
it's
fun.
no
right.
thing.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't. I mean, I definitely hear like the curiosity in your voice about your own self, your own mind, your own body, and sort of fostering that relationship. I also don't hear a lot of joy in that. Like that sounds
Yeah.
miserable.
No, I know.
It sounds like a
And-
great way to bring all of your positive energy from the day, bias it into 75 minutes, and come out invariably feeling bad about yourself.
Yeah, and that's an important topic I think a lot of athletes struggle with. Like, are you now at a point where you're putting so much pressure on yourself, it's no longer fun?
Yeah.
You know?
Right,
I
'cause I
think
think-
if you're comparing yourself, absolutely. I
Yeah,
think that
yeah.
if you were just like, hey, I'm interested to see, because I think it can go in waves. Whether like, okay, I want to see, how big I can get for me, who I am right now, and then I'm gonna shred up, and that be a goal. Or like, hey, I'm gonna increase my back squat again. I want to see how heavy I can get my back squat, or whatever it is for you in that moment. I think that in itself, having your small goals, never ends. But I think that having to compare yourself to where you were at one point isn't fair.
I mean, that's what it is. It's actually self-comparison. A lot of actors who make it or have some success early on, like these childhood actors, when they're adults, they struggle so much because it's all about the acceptance of the new and letting go of the old.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of athletes, especially like at the games level, what do you do when you've been training that hard and then it's kind of over? Yeah. And then you're left with a residue.
So hold on. So if you go to the gym and you realize that your own fitness is impermanent, your body is impermanent, you realize that, okay, maybe at 50 you're not as good as you were at 37. I'm curious about what story do you tell yourself about that? What's maybe specifically and mechanistically, like, what's negative about that? Is it like death is coming for us all and this is a way for me to reckon with my own? Is it like I'm not trying hard enough? Is it I'm not good enough? Like, I think there could still be a lot of joy in remembering that, like, I could be 50 and still do a muscle up, and as opposed to I can't do as many unbroken as I used to.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just curious about if you could tell us more about the experience of, like, why is it negative to not be as good as you used to?
It's tying performance to worth. It's tying your value to what you can do, and because CrossFit was the first thing that I found after breakdancing when I was 12 that I was kind of okay at. I held on to it with two hands. Mm-hmm. And so now it's like it's tied to my worth, even not as much as it used to be, but it's still tied. Yeah. And so these fuckers are triggering. Like if these guys weren't around, right? Because like Jeff kind of like, the people that I was working out hard with, they're like, Jeff's doing like marathons, other kind of things that are different, and he's happy, and that's great. I never found that thing, right? Yeah. And so I kind of like still am doing CrossFit, and then I come across people like you, and then it activates that side of me where it's like, dude, you need to like go back and go find your cake, go find the phone booth.
It's really interesting. Yeah, like it's almost like the likes, the kind of that paradox of I'm sorry, not a paradox, but whenever you get all the likes, you get the dopamine release, and it's like seeing yourself ranked amongst your peers and being at the top of that gives you some sort of value of like, I am this.
Yes. And also, can I say, because I don't know why this follows me around. It's been following me around since CrossFit Hollywood. So I'm beatable, right? Like you're not, you're not, I don't know, depending on where you guys are at, right? Like Jeff is not, because you guys are, So at CrossFit Hollywood, I was the guy that's like, oh, he's that older guy that he's kind of good, but he's beatable. So everyone kept trying to beat me. It was almost like they were like, it was almost like bullying.
It was like, as long as I didn't do as bad as John Kim, we're all right.
Because
this is very enlightening, because I'm just like, I'm so new to the CrossFit thing. I'm just like, I think like that's the thing that I've come to experience with, like, I won't say the older generation of CrossFitters. That just sounds very disrespectful. But like from your era of CrossFit when you did it versus to us doing it right now, it sounds like it was just a big melting pot of just toxic masculinity of everybody just trying to best one another, and it didn't matter if you felt good about yourself.
Well, I'm sorry. Finish.
Yeah, no. It was just like, it just seemed like it was just so much of butting heads, and like it didn't sound like you guys really had a good time.
Oh, it was a great time. Actually.
We
really?
did.
No,
it changed.
So that's the part I was like, did they not have fun? It's like they were trying to kill each other.
It was very kind of underground fight clubby. There was a lot of bonding. And then when it got really competitive, for me, it got a little toxic in that my range of motion was kind of going out the window, and he would call me on that shit. And then there was a couple times where I felt so much pressure, I would start to shave reps. And then on my drive home, I'd feel really shitty about it. Oh, wow. And then he started spreading a rumor that I do it all the time, and I didn't. Like one out of 50 workout.
Check the cameras.
No. One out of 50.
That's the whole point of having cameras.
1 out of 50 workouts, I might go 8 instead of 10. But I get it. It's wrong, especially like with his standards. And I would feel shitty. And then I also, just being kind of an ADD, long workouts with a lot of math. I literally just, like, it's not an intentional thing. I might lose count.
Oh, no. Noah will tell me like 5 times.
I
this is
forget
what we're
where
doing.
I'm at.
It's right on the board.
But
and I still do it wrong. He's like, no, that's
right,
not
you didn't do
what
that.
it is.
He would catch me and think I did it on purpose, and then there started to be like, hey,
then
John,
it turned into a thing.
Yeah,
And then
but there has been times that I have intentionally. I think even recently, or maybe about a year ago, even with like Noah, as you were coming up, I think there was one time you were like, dude, I think you shaved reps, and I probably did it intentionally because of pressure and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
I don't really anymore. If I do it now, it's completely accident.
But it's just, I think the idea behind it is really just like
but yeah, you're
how
right.
you feel when you're done. Like, it's not even about the reps or doing it or shaving it or whatever. It's just like, why do I still feel like I have to do this in order to belong with these younger, like, CrossFitters?
Right, and that's also why I wanted to bring in these younger guys, the old versus, not verse, but the old and the new. If the byproduct is you shaving reps or doing things that kind of devalue your character and your worth, then it's toxic. It's no longer fun.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? There's a desperation. There's a fakeness to it.
Because for me, it's like I just want to have a good time. Like, as soon as I stop having fun with CrossFit, I'm done.
Right.
I will just go, I'll start rock climbing, I'll swim again. Like, to me, it's just like I need to do something that I feel good first. And if the outside follows, wonderful, cool, hallelujah, wonderful. But if the inside starts feeling bad, that takes me down a different path, and I'm just like, this is not healthy for me.
But you're only in a year. What if you started competing and started winning medals and shit?
Well, that's the thing. It's
Once
like I
money's
never
in the
had
game,
that
all of a
desire.
sudden it
Like, to
changes
me,
the game.
like when I was a kid, like playing baseball was the thing. Like, obviously you do like travel teams and like you go to Little League World Series. But I grew up in like the inner city, and like we were just poor. We barely had enough to even get new uniforms, so that was never really a possibility. And just, I think all the socioeconomic factors kind of contributed more to the feelings of self-worth than sports ever could.
Yeah.
Because sports for me was a way to get away from all the shit that I felt bad about at home. But I think for a lot of, at least in my experience thus far, a lot of like serious CrossFitters, I feel like this is a way to prove to themselves that they are good enough. And I'm just like, wow, see, I think it makes me want to just like give them love and like a hug. So I'm just like, oh my gosh, I have a totally different experience.
Yeah.
Like, I would just love for you to feel what I feel, just the fact that I learned how to do a muscle up today, let alone the fact that doing 12 or 15 I'm broken. Yeah, that's cool, but that means nothing to me if, like, when I'm done, that I don't feel like I just like conquered the world just because I did this one movement,
Right.
as opposed to somebody going home just like, man, I shave reps, like, God, I'm terrible, I'm a nobody, I should kill myself. You know what I mean? Like, just so like,
A lot
whoa,
of times
bro.
it's about the recognition, I feel. Like,
Yeah.
it's like,
for sure.
hey, I just want to be noticed by my peers. I
Yeah.
just want to be noticed. It's like people shave those reps more often than not. It's like typically, we have our leaderboards, right, at our gym, and to get on the leaderboard, you have to do it as it's prescribed, and you have to do it, under the supervision of a
Right.
coach,
Yeah.
or in a scenario where it's going to count. And if it's questionable, if somebody's like, hey, that's I'm on the leaderboard now, we'll go and review it. And on the video, because literally, like I said,
that's
cameras
what
are
it's
there
for.
for, I mean, if you're breaking into a gym, you're going to steal some weights, so good for you, man. Hope you better your life. The cameras are there to count the reps. Anyway, and, I would say a good, at least 2 out of 5 didn't do it. And a lot of times it's just because they just want to be noticed.
They just want to like see
It's
me,
like
hear me,
it's like,
feel
hey,
me.
I'm one of y'all too.
Yeah.
I want to be part of the club.
I see. Yeah.
It was like this, like,
Man.
accept me, love me too.
Yeah, and I mean, I think just in general, like, I have a couple of friends who are like former NFL players. I got one buddy who still plays in the NBA. I've known him since like kindergarten.
Yeah.
And we were speaking to each other, and he was just like, man, you were so good at baseball. Like, you got a full ride to a D1 school, and you could have turned pro, and you didn't. Like, don't you feel bad? I'm like, why would I feel bad? He's like, because, man, you could have went to the top, and you didn't. I was like, yeah, but think about that. Like, I had a choice to do it. There's power in that.
Right.
Like, I mean, it's cool to get recognized on that level, but that's not who I am. The real question is, who are you without basketball? And he turned 50 Shades of White and just got real quiet and said he had to go. He said, my baby's crying. It's like, you're home alone. Your kid's not even there. But the thing about it is just like, I think it's the identity of being an athlete.
Yeah.
Who am I if I'm not 20 reps unbroken back squat at 225? Who am I if I'm
250.
not? Oh,
250.
sorry.
Don't get that shit twisted,
no,
Andre.
See, that's the thing. It's triggering. See? Case in point. Like, who am? It's the who am I of like the identity is like we identify so hard in being an athlete or being like a scientist or a runner or a gym owner or like a podcast like person. Like, there's always going to be rankings, and it's just like, am I good enough if I'm not like the top podcaster? Am I good enough at the compete class at Farrell's Athletic Club if I don't beat everyone? True. Am I good enough if like, you know, I didn't open the hottest gym or if I didn't have enough bumper plates or whatever? You can always come up with something. And for me, it's just like, man, how come like you're just great just because you decided to do it? Like, that's my whole mentality when it comes to like, you're just great because
That's
you're
rare.
here.
That's rare, and that's a good place to be where you're at.
I wish I could give that to people because I'm just like, man,
I would buy
don't
it.
feel
So
any
I would
of
buy
that.
it, man.
Yeah.
Totally.
Getting to think about the way that we behave as an institution and the way that our coaches behave in front of our athletes.
Yeah.
I mean, first and foremost, we call everybody who has a heartbeat an athlete. But I think there's a long way that we've come in maybe the last 15 years as people who do this like capital C, capital F CrossFit nonsense.
Yeah.
I think we've done a good job, or at the very least, I can detect an inflection point in valuing result versus valuing effort. Mm-hmm. Like, I think there's a way that you can speak to an athlete where it's not like, wow, you did this thing, or this feat is so impressive, and maybe we can just sort of eliminate that language entirely and just say like that effort is so impressive.
The attempt.
Yeah.
Or like, way to try again, way to fail spectacularly.
Yeah.
I think there's a way that we can very clearly make institutional decisions that reward character and put character first versus results first. Because I think particularly with men, particularly with competitive men, I think a lot of our self-worth is wrapped up in what we can do.
Oh, of course.
Sure. What we can do for our partners, what we can do at work,
Yeah.
results. And I think that can be leveraged into a lot of really beautiful things, but a lot of the time it can be weaponized to make us feel really bad about ourselves. Yeah. Probably worse about ourselves than anybody has ever made us feel. And I think that if we can channel all of this intense masculine energy into a really healthy space, or at least a space that is trying to be healthier, where we can work out really hard just because it's fun. Right. And when we're done, we're just glad that we got to hang out together, because frankly, the way that I like to say this, 8 people with 1 beer is way cooler than 1 person with 8 beers.
Nice.
No, just kidding. Just kidding.
That's cool. I like that though.
Yeah,
Totally agree, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you know, so I don't know the numbers, but as far as like suicide, it's like 90% men. So women think about it, they don't pull the trigger. Men actually pull the trigger.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to shootings, it's all men.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know. There's a lot of when it comes to men, there's a lot of pressure, a lot of suppression, a lot of tying worth to the external that we keep inside, and then how it manifests is, you know, all these things. And so as an athlete, and if you're listening to this, ask yourself, like, you know, one of the things that Noah just said earlier was like, are you finding joy in this? And I think that's kind of the first question. If you actually find yourself not even enjoying whatever you're doing, you got to reset, man. Yeah. You know, and I'll be honest with you, I'm confused right now. I don't know if I'm gonna, you know, go start, you know, something different, or just maintain and just kind of come, or try to go, you know, like super hard. I don't know, but I'm in that weird limbo stage. You know.
Well, I think it's important to do different stuff and not just do one thing. I think it's almost like mandatory. You should do different stuff. It's like if you're stuck in the same thing, repeating the same thing day in and day out, never experience any other parts of what life or fitness,
Yeah.
if you will, has to offer.
I tried traversing once. That didn't turn
That
out
one
well.
got 1 million plus hits.
Yeah,
by the
that
way.
didn't turn out
Great.
well.
That was fantastic. No.
Yeah, but as far as fitness goes in general, I still enjoy it. I mean, it's a part of my I mean, the dopamine you get 5 seconds after any workout, it's still a big part of my life. So I do enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know,
Good.
Okay, so here's my next question. What is next for you? So whether you're a coach, a business owner, an athlete, or maybe there is no next. Maybe this is it. You know, like what is next for you as an athlete, as a coach, as a business owner? So let's start with Andre.
Probably what's next for me is on the fitness aspect. I think I'll just keep maintaining this until I'm not having fun anymore, and then I'll just find something else. You know, it's like baseball. I seriously doubt I'll play that ever again. I might coach at some point, just see if I can mold little minds, and that would be a fun challenge. But as far as like CrossFit, like I might keep going to see, how far I can push myself. But if it starts getting to a point where I'm comparing and not feeling good, then I will definitely just stop and just probably go back to just lifting weights, or I might just grab a parachute and maybe just try to see how fast if I could shave some time off the 60,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just for me is keep feeling good until it doesn't, and find something else that makes you feel better.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Noah, what's next for you?
I think I'm interested in trying to find progressively harder and harder things and see how easy I can make them look.
Nice.
Well, you have a dream of getting a boat and sailing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Absolutely. I'd like to maybe leverage all of this coaching stuff into something that could be remote, and buy $1 million hunk of fiberglass and sail around the world.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's actually one of his dreams.
man.
Great.
That
Sounds awesome.
If there's anybody listening to this, there's a lot of YouTube channels that have done this. It's a lot more not more viable than you might think. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
Nice.
If anybody's like stuck at a dead end job and like, man, what could I do? Go get a boat and sail. It's cool. Anyway, I really love coaching. It's sort of snuck up on me. I like genuinely love it. There's a lot of people who just like coach group fitness because it's a way for them to do
I could
their
sense
PT.
it when you coach.
But like,
Yeah.
really
I could sense
love
it.
it.
Me too.
I'm
Yeah.
almost embarrassed, to be honest. Like, I should probably like cooler stuff, but I love coaching.
Yeah.
And and that enjoyment is compounded in coaching other people that coach, like in helping empower the people that empower other people.
Help
It feels
people,
like I
help
can be
people.
like,
Yeah.
this feels like a cool way to nerd out about it and get to do the science that really enlivens me. But yeah, when it comes to my own movement, it helps me be a better husband and a better friend. It's a really cool way to get to hang out with my friends in ways that are not like Netflix or drinking. And yeah, I love that the goalpost keeps getting moved in CrossFit. Like it's always heavier, it's always faster, there's always new things to do. I actually find that really stimulating. And I love the idea of not trying to chase a score or like a specific performance, but like how can I make something that's probably pretty hard seem effortless? And that seems like a really like natural expression of my body.
Yeah.
Nice. Hell yeah.
Andy, what's next for you? Besides being a father, which means you won't have time to do shit. Which is why I can't go put in 2 hours a day.
I dabble a lot. I have so many interests, and there's so much life left to live. I've dabbled in the idea of opening a martial arts school,
cool.
TBH, and I've actually also dabbled in the idea of going back to school and getting more knowledge. I've also dabbled in moving to the East Coast or to Northern California or to Southern California or to honestly, I'm kind of just enjoying the excitement of ideas that come at me. That I don't have some sort of like, this is what I'm going to do just yet. I'm just going to wait till it feels right. And it always ends up manifesting in something amazing.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I love where I'm at and I love where I'm heading. And I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing and until those opportunities always end up showing up right when they need to. And that to me is something that has always happened for me. So I'm excited about it.
Hell yeah.
God, I'm jealous at all these mindsets because I feel. It's funny because after this, if you guys don't see me compete anymore, oh fuck, John must have had a revelation. What is he doing now? Oh yeah, He's
sailing a
jogging.
boat around
He's
the
running.
world.
Yeah.
Dude, you're tough on yourself, man.
Yeah, I was gonna
I think
say
you know
that
what it
too.
is. You know what it is. I have this false belief of being the almost guy. So.
Wait, what does that mean? Explain that.
That I could take the ball to the 88 yard line. I can't score the touchdown. So that's always been a false belief. And so when I was a screenwriter, I got repped. I sold one screenplay, but I wasn't able to make it into a career. So I failed there, right? And then when I started writing books, I had this huge oh dude, what if they find out that I'm a C student, I went to Cal State Northridge, what if they find out that I'm not really a writer. So I had this false belief, and I wonder with the athlete, it ripples because everything ripples. I wonder if there's a deeper belief because I was okay, never made it to the games, never was the guy that you can't beat. So I always just came almost, and I think because of that core belief that is usually subconscious, you're always chasing, you're always making up for it. So in order to not be almost, I'm going to do whatever X, Y, Z. So maybe that might be part of it. So I don't know.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, you're one of my only friends that I'm in constant awe of admiration for.
Oh,
It's I actually, and I don't give you a whole lot. I'd rather
I don't think you give me anything.
send
Let's
you
be
a
honest,
whole
you-
bunch of Korean jokes and stuff. Like
Lots of
all the
racist
time.
jokes. I've been getting a lot of those.
But at the same
13
time,
years.
in all genuine,
No reps. I've getting a lot
like-
of no reps.
being genuine though, I'm constant wow, John Kim's got his shit together, man. That guy, I'm always in praise.
Oh, thanks, man.
So I
appreciate
mean,
that.
never to your face, and this is a really rare moment.
Yeah.
And I hope we can all be goldfish.
I'm
about
gonna
this
put,
and
I'm gonna
forget
start
this
with
later.
this, and I'm gonna put it on loop for a long time.
Nice.
Andy, I'm really glad you said that. Actually, I was gonna pause and say the same thing. I think more impressive than 18 to 22-year-old CrossFitters who are breaking world records are the guys who have been doing it for 10 plus years or who are in their 50s and can still do all this crazy stuff. I find that remarkably more impressive. Yeah. It's not that special to be good when you're 22. I really appreciate the amount of effort, the amount of discipline that comes into doing it this many years down the road. So
Yeah, thank you.
I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Andre and I are also ineffably impressed with you too.
Yeah, I love when you come to class. I
Love when you come
because I'm always like,
Love to
"Where's John
get-
at?" I always check in to see where you're at, and I'm just like, "Oh, you're still going?
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
hey,
yeah,
come on,
yeah.
Andre, you gotta keep going."
And honestly, just as sappy as it might be, it's also just it's a delight to hang out with you. man.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
That's
So-
I'm
Thanks, I
learning
appreciate
so
it.
much
So-
more about you, but just
Yeah.
seeing you at the gym is like,
Yeah.
I love when you come to the gym.
Yeah, and you're
so
cracking
happy.
jokes and you're
yeah,
you
you're
lighten
just
up
so
the place.
loose and free, and I'm just
So I
like,
hope
man, this is great.
this particular sensation, whatever it might be in your head right now, reminds you that I am not excited that you come to compete because of the score you're gonna post.
Right.
I'm glad that you're there because it's cool to hang out with you.
Exactly.
So I don't know many people that disagree with that statement.
Yeah.
Well, I don't I don't want to talk about myself anymore. I don't see myself that way
Except for
because
Pete. Pete doesn't like you.
Pete
at all.
doesn't like me.
Yeah. Pete only likes jorts.
I have a resting bitch face, and I'm very serious and pensive, and I'm not like a smiley guy. And I think because of that, until you really get to know me, I come off as, and I've gotten this all my life,
Now say three
dude,
nice
you're,
things.
you're like an
Three nice
arrogant.
things.
What's that?
Send out say 3 nice things about yourself.
Well, I don't want this to be therapy, but I'm saying so. I do appreciate that. But anyway, thank you guys for being on my first ever in-person. So I wanted to give myself this experience because as a podcaster, it's very lonely because I'm either doing it on my phone or I'm waiting for tacos. I just do it because it's only 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was like, what would it be like to invite people into my garage? And I was like, you know what? I don't need to invite celebrities and shit. What would be a
Well,
cool
you did.
conversation?
Yeah.
Well, you guys are all
Just
stars in
because,
my
yeah.
eyes. But
Yeah,
I was like,
without
what kind of
publicity.
conversation can we have? Just almost like a fireside chat without the fire because I know it's freezing. But just cool dudes rapping about, life and fitness and stuff. And I was like, all right,
Yeah.
let's have them come over.
Well,
So-
definitely an honor, man. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
it was a
Thanks,
gift.
man.
Thank you
Appreciate
for
it.
this experience.
Of course.
And also, I want to say the person with the greatest mental toughness in this room actually is Sarah. If you guys, Sarah's filming
You
right
guys
now.
don't know Sarah.
Oh my God,
She's
she went on a
filming.
show. Hold on, she went on a
No.
show. No joke. Where you go into a cave.
This is the tip of the iceberg.
Let's just say, just
Finish the story, finish the story.
It's,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
mind blowing. Okay, go ahead.
So she's done a show called Darkness where she had to be in the dark. I'm talking not kind of dark.
You can't see
Black.
your
Like
yeah.
you can't see. You don't know up from down. You don't know what time of day it is for 6 days. Where she didn't eat.
No food.
Where she didn't really drink anything either. Okay, she's
Like
climbed.
Navy SEAls,
She's climbed Denali.
What?
She's climbed Denali. She's walked the entire duration of New Zealand Island.
How long
I'm
did that
talking-
take, by the way?
4.5 months.
4.5 months of walking.
Walking.
Wow.
Like whenever we went to come pick her up from the airport, she had walked halfway.
John, she gets her own episode, right?
Yeah, like you have to interview her next.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, absolutely.
this-
yeah.
Like you have made a huge mistake.
God, I picked the wrong guest.
And she's so just like, yeah,
Incredible.
I'm here just filming, helping out.
Yeah.
And in reality, her story is off
It's
the
pretty
charts.
amazing. She also, takes photographs and is very, very.
I
has a
can't
really
believe you
amazing
let
life.
us talk.
A crazy artistic
Yeah.
guy. Crazy.
But
very
again,
talented.
new generation, man. I'm telling you, all this new generation doing all these different things, spinning different plates. Gratitude. It makes me feel so old that they're just like they're not human. They're not like aliens.
Hey.
Like, she's like an alien.
And what I'd like
Who
to
walks
think about
for 4 months? Fucking walks for 4 months.
walks for 4 months. Where do you even go?
Like, what's the motivation? I just want to see if I can do it. Okay.
I mean, they need a movie after Sarah.
Yeah.
You know?
Soon. Anyway.
4 days.
You can kind of mesh it all into one 4-month period. Be like, get the darkness, hold on, Denali, just make part of the journey.
I want to end with a question. Tim Ferriss has this thing where it's like, if there was a billboard, what would that be? But one question for whoever's listening to this that you want to ask. One question that may be something that will make them think different, give them new lenses, or whatever, or it could be calling them out on something. So one question for whoever's listening, and then Sarah, I want you to go as well. So Andre, starting with you, what would be one question? It doesn't just have to be about fitness. It could just be about life, anything.
Who would I be?
No, you're talking to the listeners. So
Oh,
who would
sorry.
you be?
Okay, so guys, listeners, I have to ask you a question. Who would you be if you were not your limitations?
Ooh, good one, good one. And by listeners, we mean, hey, just say Pete and Jeff. Because Pete wants to know we're not talking shit about him.
When I was 24, I was in a therapy appointment, feeling pretty low, and I was asked a question that I still think about on a nearly daily basis. I guess it's maybe about fitness too. I'm really curious about like what happens in athletes' minds when they're working out, like what they're thinking about, what the emotional experience might be, the internal space. So the simple question, because that can be interpreted however you like, is who are you in a place of not knowing?
That's good.
Oh, boy.
Hey, guys, let's not make this a competition.
No,
Okay,
we're not.
okay.
Like that's the beauty. It's like
Because I'm already
Not
feeling
competing.
almost. I'm just kidding.
No.
Go ahead. All right. Go ahead, Andy.
I got one question. What's your favorite part about today? That's it.
No,
That's my question.
That's a great question.
That's my question.
You know what? It's a great question because.
And you can ask it every day.
Yeah, no one asks that.
Nobody asks that except for I ask that every day.
You-
Do you want to ask Sarah?
That's
Every
amazing.
day.
That's you know what, dude, and and that's why your spirit is so light, and you light people up. A lot of people ask, "What was shitty about today?" every day, and they feed that.
Naturally, it's already so ingrained in us to just dump problems versus actually like thinking about, hey, what was my favorite part about today? Oh, that coffee I had this morning was really good. You know, whatever it is, even if it's like 6 in the morning. Hey, what's your favorite part of the day?
My question is, what do you know about yourself today that you didn't know just a year ago? So not when you were 12 or 14, but just before the pandemic. What do you know about yourself today that's different? All right, Sarah. One question.
Yeah.
Actually, do you want to come into the mic so you can?
Come on over, Sarah.
Okay. I would say, or ask rather, like, what is the one experience that you truly want to have in your life? And it could be, it could be a physical feat, but it could also be like having a child. It could be so many different things. It could be a feeling achieved. But, what is the first instinct that your mind goes to when asked that question? Like, where did it go just now? Like,
Yeah.
it went somewhere. And do you feel like it's possible or not? And if not, what is the one thing that you can do to actually move yourself in that direction? Because
Nice.
it's not, I mean, it's going to be much easier than you think if you know, slowly start to tick away and just move towards it. And if it's something that's true for your soul, it'll happen.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go for a
All right,
walk for 4 months.
Andre,
Think
where
about
can we
that.
find you?
You can find me at
Pharaoh's
Pharaoh's
Athletic
Athletic Club,
Club.
1316 Glendale
Glendale
Boulevard,
Boulevard.
Los Angeles, California, 90026. Monday through Friday, sometimes on the weekends if I'm feeling frisky. But if not, on Instagram or Twitter at ahall382, because that is the only thing that spit it out when I created a Yahoo email account.
Oh,
in 8th
shit,
grade.
that's hilarious.
So it's ahall382 for like 5 emails and all my social media.
Noah, where can we find you?
Instagram is Noah David with an extra H in the middle. Noah H David, and at Pharaoh's Athletic Club, almost 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And if you're not aware of Pharaoh's, it's Pharos. Instagram is at Pharaoh's Echo Park.
Andy,
Yes,
where
nice.
can we find you?
Andy 86 Tomps. There's no Thompson like my actual name. It's just Tomps. Andy 86 Tomps.
You know,
Is my Instagram.
you're producing a lot more fitness content, and I'm proud of you because
It's very uncomfortable.
it's no, but I'm proud of you because it's uncomfortable. But you know, I think you have a lot of great things to say. I think you're helping a lot of people.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Right.
is helpful to hear.
Sarah, where can we find you? Hurry up, into the mic. Quick.
On Instagram at Sarah Skyann, Sarah with an H, SKYANN.
It's worth checking out. Her photography is phenomenal.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. Be well.